Good evening, and welcome to another excruciating episode of Diatribes from the voice of Dooms. Now here's your exasperating and exsanguinating host, voice of Doom. Hello. I'm enjoying this bumper music now, because I realize with my experience I know of at least 10 million songs that I can put on that are appropriate for what I'm saying. Now, put this up here. Okay. I want to continue on with my diatribe and my exposure and my lambasting the generations, including my own. But I didn't get to all the things I wanted to get to, because I want to talk about the genzers, the young people who will be taking over this country in about 40 years, and God knows what they'll be taking over. It probably will be a smoldering pit where the main industry of what used to be the United States will be the processing of roadkill. But to get on with the present day, it's telling you how as you get older you kind of see the differences in generations. And I was saying how I work with a lot of Gen Zers who I admire, and they're very good people. So I don't want them to get the idea that I'm putting them down. I put everybody down. I am not biased at all. Not at all. I'll put everybody down. But one of the reasons that I decided I would finally do this thing is because, I tell people it works, and I have a YouTube channel. And to these Zers, it's like, so what? So you can broadcast your opinion to the universe. Big deal. Everybody could do that. So nobody's actually watched any of my diatribes from work that I know of. Maybe a few of the older people that I've worked with might give it a casual glance, but none of these young people care, because, you have a YouTube channel, so what? Big deal. So I realized that if I do this diatribe, then that might be the first one that they actually see. I'll go to work tomorrow and they'll say, I saw your diatribe. It's like, you never watched it before. Well, I saw the one where you were putting us all down and calling us. Yeah, so I decided I'd finally do it, because they're not going to watch. They're not going to see it. Now, Gen Zers, and like I said, the people that I work with are very good. I have nothing against them. But as a general overview, an overarching opinion, they're in a different world because they've grown up in a different world. They were born when the iPhone was already, developing. So they've gone from their very early infanticide or infantile part of their life, that the phones, and when I say phones, I mean the iPhones, where you have the whole damn universe in your hand, and most of them use it for frivolous things like, communicating with their friends or looking to see what messages they may have. Now, these phones are addictive. I don't have one, because I'm an addicted personality myself. I've had my share of bad habits, which some of them I continue to have. But I decided I was never going to have an iPhone. If I can make it through this lifetime without one, I will do so, because I'm addictive. But I see them in every meeting. We have a meeting of the employees about once every 2 or 3 months, and at every meeting, the boss, who's pretty much our head chef, will say, no more phones while you're working. And that will last for a day, where people will not look at their phones for a day, and then a day later they're doing the same thing. And I've seen 5 or 6 employees in the bus station with their phones like this. And if they're not having their phones like this, then they're just talking to each other, because the atmosphere of our place is casual, but I won't say fine dining, but we're right below fine dining. We put out some pretty classy stuff, and it's kind of pricey. Not just anybody can go in there and have a dinner, because you go in there with your date, you're going to pay like $80 minimum just to have a decent dinner. So it's not Denny's. And some of these Zers don't seem to realize that we're working in a restaurant where people, well, they don't expect it anymore, but at one time people expected good service. Now, another thing about the phone, distracting, but let's go on and talk about the fact that I've been working in restaurants since 1974, maybe 75. I actually got my first job at a real restaurant. So I have a little bit of experience. I know things get hectic, things get chaotic, and you gotta just run around and do stuff. I've never seen a Gen Zer actually run around and act like they're under pressure. Never seen it. And it's like, why are they not under pressure? Well, because they can just wait. So let them wait. And there's plates and extra this and extra that on the table, and it looks all muck-racked. That's not a big deal, because they're not even thinking about that. They don't even give it a thought that, well, maybe I could clear away this stuff, or maybe I could refill the water, or this or that. It doesn't even occur to them. They don't know how to manage their time. They don't know how to multitask. They don't know how to, like I said, not waste a move. You work in a restaurant, you take some food over here, and you see some dirty plates over there, you grab them. You don't take 10 trips to do what you could do in 10 seconds. That's why I will always have it over them, because I can get more done in 10 minutes than they will get done all day. But that's not to put them down. It's just that's the way the work works now, because to them, we're all working in a place that we're all 18 and under, and we just like to talk, and we like to, just pal around and stand on the bus station and talk. And it's like there's people waiting to be seated. And that's another thing, communication. You think this phone, or whatever they use, is making communication more efficient? No. It's making it worse, because this Gen Z generation, they don't hear anything. So if I come up behind 3 or 4 of them that are standing in the bus station and chatting about whatever, which I would do too if I was their age, but I say, there's someone waiting to be seated, and they don't even hear me. I have to actually go up and kind of yell in their ear, and then I'm kind of like, well, you're harassing me, or whatever, but they don't listen. So it's kind of like, let's get this done, man. This is a restaurant. This ain't some sort of a, high school, homecoming party. But they don't seem to get that. It's like, we love our jobs. We're making about $100 to $150 a night in tips, so we really enjoy this gig, and we're going to talk in the bus station. So that's the basic things about Gen Zers. Now, let's talk about climate, and we will talk about climate change and how this new generation is so bound and determined to convince themselves that the climate is going to hell and the earth will burn up. It was 12 years according to AOC. It's like 4 years ago, so now we got 8. So they're all very concerned about the climate, and they're very concerned about the environment. Now, let me tell you right now, they are not. The boomers are way more concerned about the environment and conservation that these Zers could ever hope to be. And that's just the way it is, because we have gone through 50, 55 years of this, of being told don't litter, don't waste water, don't do this, don't do that. I go in, I'm not going to put anybody, on the spot, but sometimes I go in, I am helping to do the dishes or taking things, and I open up the dishwasher and there's like 2 dishes in there, and they just decided to go ahead and wash them. And it's like, you guys don't realize how much water we use to do 1 load of dishes in a restaurant. Probably about 50 gallons just to do 1 load. So you have 2 plates on the rack. I mean, I don't know, this is getting into the weeds as far as restaurant business, but you got 2 plates on the rack and you start the dishwasher. It's like you're wasting a lot of water. You guys don't even realize, and you talk about, oh, we're so high and mighty, we care about the environment, we care about, they don't understand anything. You conserve. That's what we were taught. You don't waste water. Yeah, we've got plenty of water now, but just wait 10 years from now, if there is a 10 years from now. You just wait for that. And then you'll say, why did we waste so much water back then? Well, because you were fed all this crap that you bought hook, line, and sinker, but you don't act on it. You don't practice it. It's easy to accept some ridiculous premise, but if you don't act on it, then it's useless. So these Zers don't care anything about the environment. I don't care if they're on TikTok and they're talking about how us white supremacists are ruining this country because we're wasteful and we just are mucking it up. We've done a lot to clean it up. And for sure, these guys, Zers, are going to make it really worse. And there's going to be a lot of nuclear fallout in the air. There's going to be all kinds of things going on. Probably be a super volcano going off soon. So, I guess you don't really have to care about the environment, but it's just a point I'm making about, I remember when I was a kid, don't litter. You had the Indian at the landfill and he's crying, and Indian, Native American, call him what you will. And that made a big impact on people. Okay, don't litter. I remember one time I threw something on the ground because I was just 7 years old. I just threw it on the ground because people do impetuous things. And believe me, the neighbor was right there looking out our window, comes running out. What are you doing, throwing a piece of paper on the ground? And those are the kind of things when you're 7, it makes an impact because it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I did something wrong. Well, these Zers have no idea, with all their pontifications, all their high and mighty, holier than thou attitude, that we are the young generation that care about the earth, and you old people have mucked it up. They don't know anything. And they don't practice what they preach. I know that for a damn fact. So, I think I've said all I need to say. I could say more. And they're good people. I'm not going to say that they're TikTokers that I wouldn't want to come within, 50 yards of. They're reasonable. And they are intelligent. And I think there is a future with them. But I don't know if they're going to reach that point where they have a future, because they don't realize, with all their phones and all their hanging around and yakking and joking, that everything's falling apart. And whenever I make any allusions to the end of the world, they look at me funny. And I just say, I'm from a different era than you, and I look at things differently. So we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to talk much more. There's other anecdotal things, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's an anecdote where You know, I never really said anything to anybody or ever criticized them, but one time I actually rolled my eyes, and one of these ears said, "You better not be rolling your eyes at me." And I just went, I didn't say anything, but I thought to myself, I don't like this person, because they're snowflakes, and they think that I don't even have the right to roll my eyes. So I'll leave it there. I went through another almost 16 minutes. I mean, I could probably keep talking about this, but I'm not going to. I think I said enough. It was a two-parter, and it said nothing. So we'll leave it at that, and enjoy the night, and cheers.